Welcome back to part 10. Yeah, here we are. And now it suddenly dawned on me that I'd like to just give a little explanation as to where the title Pure Observation came from. Well, it kind of just came to me from nowhere, to be honest. But it just seemed to work. It just seemed to fit because I'd like to think that what I talk about is just pure, observation, looking from the outside, not kind of claiming to know, but, kind of saying, this is what I've observed, this is what I'm led to believe, this is what I personally, think sounds right. Yeah, so that's what it's really about, kind of letting it be known that it's kind of observing it, from all angles, because I really do try to. I do look at everything. And as I said pretty early on, that I am a believer in the paranormal, and I am a believer that the Lutz family really did have a scary, frightening experience that, led them to abandon the house. But I am going to talk a little bit about actually abandoning the house later on. Yeah, that's something else that I do want to cover. But as regards to believing, I do call myself a grounded believer and even a skeptical believer because I don't believe in all the silliness that comes with these things. I'm very aware of what's embellishment and what's, plain ludicrous and ridiculous. And so, I'm not believing for 1 minute that any blood was dripping from the walls, like in the original 1975 film. And I also, I'm under no illusion that the priest, as played by Rod Steiger, had that, horrific experience where that led him to go blind. I mean that is, just pure Hollywood. So we're always, looking at things realistically, and this is, something that I really want to kind of compare as well, to some people, and I've done it myself. I'm not going to sort of pretend I haven't. So some people look at these kind of stories and they think, oh, that is so cool. Oh, that is great. It'd be great to live in a house like that, where all that spooky goings on and everything, it'd be like a real adventure. It'd be really exciting, loads of fun. You could even say it's like some kind of grown-up Scooby-Doo kind of adventure going on, but it's not. It's not for real people in real situations. We see characters in these films absolutely terrified, sometimes, kind of questioning their sanity and really, really struggling with everything because that's how it tends to be in real situations. It's not fun, it's not an adventure. It actually, kind of really can push people over the edge, and it's rarely in reality what people think it's going to be like. We think, oh, it's always going to be all chilling and, sinister and, foreboding. Yeah, it's going to be this, that, and the other, from the minute you walk in. Well, not necessarily. I mean, in a lot of cases, and this was actually described by Lorraine Warren, whether whether you choose to follow the Warrens or not, I did agree with her that, a lot of these places you walk in and you observe more of a depressing feeling, something that, just seems to really drag you down. You could walk in there full of the joys of spring, but suddenly you just feel really, really down and suppressed, even. It's as though something just really knocked the shine out of you, and you can't explain it because 2 minutes ago when you were outside you felt great, but suddenly it's like, oh, I really don't feel good. That this just feels horrible. You feel like really sort of can't be bothered with anything. So although I've never visited the famous house in Amityville, so I can't give my own sort of experience of that, I have experienced that scenario, and so I can actually speak from first-hand experience in other locations, is where I'll say there. Yeah, so in that respect, I can at least offer some empathy. But yeah, comparing this thing to, the films, as we say, I mean, we have talked about the films before, and kind of what was real, what was not, kind of what was, kind of really, really just added in for entertainment. And as we say, that 1979 film, from what I've heard and believe, the producers were never even trying to replicate the book. They weren't trying to, tell it the same. They intended it to be different to the book, straight away. And so this is why, as I say, none of us believe in these, kind of like I say, blood down the wall, the things with the priest, and such as the psychic friend who turns up and ended up smashing the wall down in the basement. I mean, what was actually said to have happened was far more grounded. It was that, the girlfriend or partner of George's business partner was a psychic sensitive and did come around and observe a few things, but of course they took it to extreme levels in the film. Yeah, but the other thing that I'll move on to now is that 2005 version that starred Ryan Reynolds and Melissa George. I'm going to make no bones about it. I absolutely hate that film. I absolutely can't stand it. I mean, partly because it was a big lead up to a big disappointment where we were promised something that was going to be far more faithful to the book, and it was anything but. It was the complete opposite. It was even further away from the book. I mean, if anything, they just took little bits of the 1979 the original version and redid them in a different way. But whatever story they were trying to tell in that film, it was not the Amityville horror. It was not, anything to do with what the Lutzes said, and it certainly wasn't, anything to do with the Jay Anson book. Not really, because there were great big chunks missing, and an awful lot of, well, what I'd call, very typical modern horror, just thrown in for the sake of it. A lot of jump scares that, we didn't really need. We could have just had something that was telling the story, and kind of just giving us, what everyone was wanting. But they failed to do that very, very badly. But the unfortunate thing about that is that, with modern younger audiences and horror fans, yeah, okay, that's the kind of thing they want. Yeah, that's what they were aiming for. The jump scares, the CGI effects, etc., etc. But it's something that does, and probably has encouraged younger viewers and followers of the case to think, well, is that what the Lutz family claimed happened? When it clearly wasn't. I mean, what all we really got there was a suggestion that it was a very, very cursed grounds that the house had been built on, that had caused Ronald DeFeo to kill his family through, kind of supernatural possession. And then the suggestion was that throughout the whole film, it was basically George Lutz being primed to be the next murderer, suggesting that, that the house had got to him so much that he was going to kill his family. And we lost so much of what the, original story was, and that's regardless of what people believe was true or not true. We actually lost, kind of the a lot of what was said in the first place. There were, as I say, there were great big chunks of things missing, and things told very wrongly, and things, that just didn't even fit really. I mean, I just feel that film should have been just put out as another horror film, but not called the Amityville Horror. And I believe it's quite common knowledge that George Lutz sued the film company because he hated the film so much, and he felt that it was just, a complete and utter, shambles. That was more of an insult. He'd spent something like 25, 26 years having a problem with the original, to suddenly view it as something more like a documentary by comparison to this, really ridiculous, poor offering. Yeah, so that's what I just wanted to cover about that film. Yeah, but I'm going to carry on in just a second. I'm going to keep this flowing, yeah? So I'll be back soon.